My brother, Geoffrey, who was older than me, only ever wanted to be an actor. And I thought, I'd like to go at that.
What if I told you that Britain's most decorated actress, Dame Judi Dench, is quietly rehearsing her final curtain call, not on stage, but in a fight against the blindness stealing her scripts, and that, behind the scenes, a bold AI project is capturing her voice so future generations can still hear her command? Shakespeare? Stay tuned, because the truth of her goodbye is as stirring as her greatest performances ever delivered live. Judi's first brush with failure. When Judi Dench was young, she felt every creak of the wooden boards under her shoes like a countdown to disaster. It was 1947 in York, and the air smelled of fresh paint and velvet that had been dusted. The seamstress who was pinning her costume made fun of her by saying she might shake the stitches loose. Her heart was beating so fast. The time before the curtain went up seemed like it went on for hours, but she could barely remember her first line. Their warm-up music blocked out her thoughts, but the fear in her chest stayed strong. Dame of British theatre thought at that very moment that she might run away before anyone even knew her name. Backstage, an older actor tried to calm her down by talking about all the mean reviews he had gotten. But Judi was reminded of how mean reviews could be. His well-meaning pep talk sounded like a warning bell, and she could see the ridicule in the newspapers the next morning. She felt thick with doubt, and even though the theater was drafty, the air felt thin. She took a deep breath and wondered if the idea of greatness was just a myth. Almost, she wished for a sudden power outage that would end the show. He instead turned on the stage lights, which blinded her and pushed her forward. Even though it was shaky and sincere, she made it through every cue, even though she was harsher on herself than any critic would be. Her knees were still shaking when the final bow came, but the cheers reminded her that danger and reward often go hand in hand. She learned that night that fear and performance could go together without canceling each other out. The lesson was more than just technique. Having courage starts before you say the line. She was tired when she left the theater, but she was also strangely determined. In her tiredness, there was a seed of strength. Within a year, she got a job with the Royal Shakespeare Company. In Macbeth and Hamlet, she was put under even more intense scrutiny and had to show what she could do. People who reviewed her said that her voice was very flexible and could go from quiet sadness to raging anger, faster than a sword could cut a cord. Reviewers praised her lightning-quick emotional pivots during a brief cameo in Cymbeline, which is high praise for such a short role. That small win showed how versatile the show would become, and people would soon take it for granted. She knew that every scene, no matter how long or short, was a chance to reconnect with history. Still, early stardom had rough edges. A harsh national review called her ill-suited to classical severity, and the hurt didn't go away even after the paper turned yellow. Newly found letters, organized by a theater historian in the year 2000, show that she wrote a letter of resignation, planning to quit acting and teach voice work instead. The letter, which was never sent, shows a 23-year-old weighing freedom over endurance because the pen of a critic felt heavier than any fake sword. Knowing how close she was to giving up on the ship gives the story we celebrate today a new sense of weight. Salvation came from peers, not from the news. She spent late nights reading scenes with other actors, which turned the rehearsal halls into safe places where skill grew faster than fear. Their faith became a shield for her, which she later compared to borrowed bravery. This was a phrase she would remember when macular degeneration made her depend on others again. She learned that community can fix the cracks that doubt makes. The help was quiet and not romantic, but it kept her on stage long enough for her talent to shine through. As soon as doubt went away, creativity grew. Her performances got better, and she started to see fear as a fuel instead of an enemy. With each standing ovation, she built a stronger base for her future career. But she never forgot how heavy that close call was. It made her care about newcomers who are having a hard time. The ordeal made her humble, and that trait still shows in her interviews and public appearances. Judi, who was 23 years old at the time, had no idea that her shaking legs were the start of a cultural earthquake that would shake British theatre for decades. Soon, the echoes could be heard in living rooms all over the world, thanks to sitcoms. But it was one groundbreaking movie role that changed Bond history and made him famous all over the world. As time goes on, her rise from stage fright to strong authority shows how facing failure head-on can lead to becoming an icon. Don't think about that yet. In the next chapter, she trades in her teacups for tuxedos and shows that even spies have to answer to a dame. She went from tea-time sitcoms to commanding James Bond, how Judi Dench shattered typecasting with a single steely look. From sitcom queen to 07's Iron Matriarch. Television welcomed Judi Dench in the early 80s, swapping stage spotlights for the softer glow of living room screens. In A Fine Romance, she paired deadpan timing with gentle warmth that viewers replayed like comfort food. As time goes by followed, cementing her reputation for subtle comedy that never felt empty. These shows formed protective armor, letting her play without the brutal stakes of classical tragedy. Beneath every easy laugh sat the exacting craft that would soon anchor a blockbuster spy world. During one live taping, a cue card vanished behind a swinging studio door, stripping her of a punchline mid-scene. She pivoted, turned the lapse into a sight gag, and earned a roar louder than the script allowed. Editors kept the take, and fans called it proof she could steer chaos with grace. That slip revealed calm nerves under pressure, the same steadiness later demanded on high-budget action sets. Directors noticed, and the moment became quiet legend in casting circles. When Bond producers searched for a new M in the mid-90s, the shortlist excluded women until a junior executive screened her sitcom reel. The idea of a female chief of spies risked unsettling a franchise built on formula. Internal memos warned of alienating core fans, yet Dench's range hinted she could flip doubt into applause. Curiosity won, and she was invited to audition behind closed doors. The gamble was about to reset blockbuster tradition. In a bare casting room, she delivered 3 pages of terse briefing text, voice clipped like steel, and gaze fixed, as if weighing national secrets. Silence lingered so long the panel forgot to call, cut until she stepped back, performance complete. Minutes later, emails described the room as shocked into agreement. Reluctance vanished, and marketing teams pivoted overnight to trumpet the bold casting shift. Dench claimed Bond's boss's chair and rewrote the series' hierarchy in a single reading. Audiences responded fast, crowding early internet forums to applaud the unflappable new commander. Hosts praised a balance of stern control and measured empathy, saying Bond had finally met a superior he respected. Fan mail overflowed, with young viewers noting proof that real leadership roles were opening to women. Positive buzz drowned predictions of backlash, and box office numbers soared past the prior film. Criticism fizzled as ticket sales crowned the risk a triumph. Media tone evolved across 2 decades, shifting from 1995 questions about Bond taking orders from a woman to 2015 features crediting her as the franchise's backbone. Her performance helped clear paths for later authority figures like Captain Janeway guiding a starship and President Coin steering a rebellion. Casting offices cited Dench when weighing gender swaps in legacy roles. The ripple reached real headlines covering female intelligence chiefs and CEOs, showing fiction's power to shape perception. Authority on screen had influenced discourse off-screen. After her diagnosis became public, Pierce Brosnan shared a note he had saved since their first day of shooting, calling her the real 00 for disarming every obstacle with poise. Few knew she had also secured equal billing and pay parity, a quiet victory inside a famously rigid studio system. That contract became precedent for ensemble negotiations that followed, nudging salaries toward balance. Her imprint extended from performance to policy, proving leadership can unfold behind the scenes as well. Legacy, for Dench, meant changing both lines on the page and numbers on the ledger. Yet while cameras captured triumph, age-related macular degeneration advanced, dimming the scripts that once lay clear in her hands. She tilted pages toward brighter lamps, then traded paper for memory drills, adapting without public fuss. Crew members placed subtle floor markers so she could hit unseen targets, protecting the illusion of flawless control. The invisible antagonist gained ground even as awards piled higher. Ahead lies a chapter where that encroaching twilight tests her will more than any villain Bond ever faced. Battling macular degeneration. The first hint arrived in 2010 during a Peter and Alice rehearsal when Judi missed her mark and nearly collided with a prop wall. She blamed tired eyes from reading late into the night and laughed it off with the crew. Yet the mishap felt stranger than normal fatigue, like a camera suddenly losing focus. She tucked the worry away and pressed on, determined the show would never know her secret. Deep down, though, a silent clock had started ticking. Small slips multiplied as months passed, each one a little blurrier than the last. Subtitles on the television faded to smudges, and street signs seemed to shrink. She bought brighter lamps, stronger glasses, and thicker scripts, stacking fixes like sandbags against a rising tide. None stopped the creeping haze settling across her sight lines. Dench realized something bigger than exhaustion was taking center stage. In 2012, she told a journalist she had age-related macular degeneration, shortening the condition to 3 soft letters that held hard truth. Headlines exploded, painting drama around the words she delivered with steady understatement. Some papers forecasted her immediate retirement, while others framed her as tragic hero battling darkness. She watched the coverage and shrugged. Certain hype would not decide her timeline. Public worry grew loud, but her resolve grew louder. Behind that resolve lay private fear she rarely shared. Lines on the page faded until only high-contrast print hinted at meaning, forcing her to memorize roles instead of reading. She taped bright markers to door frames at home and counted steps between furniture. Scripts moved from paper to audio, playing through headphones on endless loop. Each adaptation felt like a pact between pride and necessity. Friends rallied with a creative fix that turned study sessions into chorus rehearsals. They recited her lines in rhythm, letting the cadence drill itself into her photographic memory. She replayed those chants until dialogue lived behind her eyelids, safe from the failing retinas. The method sounded playful, yet every beat carried urgency. It let performances continue, even as page letters dissolved into gray mist. On the Victoria and Abdul set, co-star Ali Fazal lightly guided her hand to teacups and benches, hiding assistance within natural gestures. Crew placed tactile markers on carpets so she could stop exactly where cameras framed her. She delivered scenes as if nothing had changed, though each step relied on unseen teamwork. The audience watched seamless art, unaware of the choreography underneath. that hidden network turned impairment into collective triumph. Roughly 700,000 Britons share macular degeneration, a number she cites to shift focus from herself to a wider battle. She reminds fans that millions worldwide face the same slow dimming and deserve fresh research, not pity. Rather than dwell on lost vision, she highlights stories still worth telling. Her stance reframes disability as shared experience, sparking donations and awareness campaigns. Acclaim becomes an amplifier for a cause bigger than any single career. In 2024, she quietly endowed a private fund supporting early gene therapy trials aimed at halting retinal decay. The project operates without fanfare under a nondescript charity name, shielding it from press until clinical milestones appear. Trusted scientists receive grants, while patient volunteers undergo cutting-edge treatments that could rewrite eye care. Insiders call the program Dench's boldest role yet, trading lines for labs. This reveal marks the first public notice of her behind-the-scenes mission. While cameras still glow, an invisible antagonist keeps narrowing her stage, yet she counters with adaptation, activism, and innovation. Each rehearsal now blends memory workouts with medical briefings, proof that art and science can share the same script. Fading sight has not dimmed her influence. It has redirected it toward breakthroughs that could outlive any performance. Next up comes technology ready to capture her voice forever. But for now, the battle remains personal and relentless. Dench rehearses on, determined that blur will never silence the story she still has left to tell. Behind closed studio doors, Dame Judi recorded thousands of lines, not for a role, but for digital immortality in theater. Reinventing the farewell. Between 2023 and 2024, Dame Judi spent dozens of hush-hush mornings inside a sound booth lined with matte foam and silent red LEDs. Engineers slide binders across the glass, each filled with Shakespeare lines arranged by pitch, pace, and mood. She delivered them in clean blocks, moving from the thunder of Lady Macbeth to the hush of Desdemona without pausing for coffee. Every take landed with metronome accuracy, the booth sensors logging breath patterns the way a conductor marks tempo. By sunset, thousands of clips waited on encrypted drives, labeled only with code names to keep curious eyes away. Software teams then mapped those clips onto a digital model, nicknamed Dench AI, that can recombine syllables into fresh dialogue on command. The model captures not just words, but the tiny lifts at sentence ends and the half-whisper she uses before an on-stage killing. Hologram coders fed the voice into real-time lip sync, planning stage projections that could act beside living performers. Virtual reality specialists added spatial audio, so audiences wearing headsets will hear the voice shift as they move. The result is a toolkit letting future directors cast digital Judi in roles she never played while sighted. Only 10 people outside the studio know the full scope, and all signed lifetime non-disclosure pledges. Backup drives sit in a cold vault under separate keys, copied onto tape reels stored offline to block cyber thieves. The secrecy stems from fear of leaks that could cheapen the first reveal or, worse, allow black market clones. Producers want a single, carefully timed launch that honors her craft rather than treating it like a parlor trick. That caution echoes her own wish that art, not shock value, define this next act. Ethical debates sparked before the first waveform exported, splitting experts into two camps. Some call digital survival a gift, freeing great voices from fragile bodies and widening access for audiences who never saw her live. Others warn of turning humans into endless content libraries, drained of consent after death. Dench offers a middle road, stating through advisors that any future royalties must fund reforestation projects she loves. In her view, a voice that keeps earning should keep giving. Actors' unions monitor the project closely, drafting clauses that protect performer likeness from misuse. Lawyers argue over how many new lines the AI may speak before it stops being her voice and starts being pure invention. Technologists counter that synthesis tools are now precise enough to keep intent intact if overseen by artistic trustees. This tug-of-war shapes fresh guidelines that will ripple far beyond one actor. Even before debut, Dench AI is rewriting the rulebook on digital ownership. West End investors already hold option papers for a mixed-reality Macbeth planned for 2027, pairing a live Lady Macduff with a holographic Lady Macbeth. Ticket forecasts predict sellouts based on curiosity alone, yet plans include accessible pricing and school matinees funded by premium evening seats. Part of each gross pound will feed a scholarship fund for visually impaired actors, turning technological advance into social lift. Training grants will cover voice coaching, mobility classes, and adaptive script tech. In effect, her virtual presence will bankroll the next wave of performers facing the same sight barriers she now navigates. A fresh twist involves the Royal National Institute of Blind People, which is co-developing lightweight headsets that blend live stage action with enlarged, color-coded text overlays. The project uses Dench's captured audio to test clarity against varying vision ranges, aiming to make theater more inclusive for low-vision guests. If trials succeed, the headsets could roll out across major venues within 5 years. This hidden collaboration adds another layer to her legacy. Technology shaped by impairment, then gifted back as access. Few outside production circles have heard of the headset plan until now. Think about your own seat in that future audience. Would you pay to hear an AI-driven dame whisper the out-damned spot soliloquy? Or does the thrill depend on mortal risk? The question stirs both wonder and unease, and there is no single right answer. What matters today is how intent guides invention. And in this case, the intent feels both protective and generous. As her living chapters grow quieter, technology preserves an echo that may outlast wood stages and velvet curtains. Follow that echo into the next story, where the dame swaps studios for the forest paths she tends like living diaries. The Forest of Stories. Near her countryside home in Surrey, Judi Dench has planted a private memorial woodland where every tree stands for someone she's loved and lost. Walking through the grove feels less like visiting nature and more like entering a storybook where the pages are leaves. Each tree bears a small tag, names like Natasha Richardson, Alan Rickman, and her own husband, Michael Williams. The atmosphere is both peaceful and powerful, reminding anyone who visits that memory doesn't need marble statues to last. With each step, it becomes clear that Judi's true legacy isn't limited to the stage. It's rooted in the earth she's nurtured. To Judi, this forest is more than a tribute. It's a theater without walls. She once described the rustle of oak leaves as stage curtains swaying between acts and the birds overhead as a moving chorus. Where others see a quiet garden, she sees a living performance shaped by wind and sunlight. Every season offers a new act, from blossoms rising in spring to golden leaves falling like well-timed exits in autumn. For her, this woodland holds more expression than any applause ever could. Though eyesight has dimmed her ability to read pages, she's found new ways to stay present, with words through spoken word events and book tours. In 2023, she released Shakespeare, The Man Who Pays the Rent, which quickly became a bestseller across the UK. Instead of formal readings, She now appears in intimate chats where she shares stories, recites from memory, and lets conversation guide the flow. During one event with her longtime friend Giles Brandreth, she paused midway through a quote she couldn't recall. Before the silence grew awkward, the audience filled in the line, turning the moment into an unexpected scene of shared performance. She's never been shy about mentoring, and in recent interviews, she's shared what she calls her 3 rules for surviving the stage. First, she says curiosity matters more than confidence, because wondering what's next keeps you sharp. Second, she values kindness over clout, reminding young actors that warmth lasts longer than ego. Third, she urges performers to train their memory, not just to deliver lines, but to recall emotion, rhythm, and pacing when eyesight fails. These bits of advice come without pretense, grounded in decades of practice rather than theory. But even oaks, no matter how tall, eventually bend and break with time. Judi's pace has slowed, her public appearances fewer, and the acting roles have grown rare. Yet she still walks her woodland paths, often with friends or family, and sometimes alone when the weather is gentle. She's said little about retirement, because she doesn't believe art has to end. It only changes shape. Still, people around her are beginning to prepare for the moment when Britain's most treasured voice finally quiets. Her team has started organizing her archives, cataloging scripts, awards, and personal notes to be donated to the British Library. Her audio recordings and letters will form a special collection designed to inspire the next generation of actors and scholars. Talks are also underway for a performing arts grant in her name, focused on supporting actors with disabilities, especially vision-related conditions. The initiative reflects both her journey and her quiet belief that legacy should open doors. It's not just about remembrance, it's about continuation. A quiet but meaningful project is underway between Judi Dench's estate and the Royal Botanic Gardens Kew. Though not yet publicized, early-stage plans aim to designate a section of her memorial woodland as an official heritage site. This serene grove, where each tree represents someone she's loved and lost, could soon welcome a limited number of annual visitors. The idea isn't driven by fame or tourism, but by a desire to root her legacy in something deeper: nature, memory, and conservation. Visitors would experience guided walks that weave together stories from Judi's life with lessons on ecological stewardship, offering a rare glimpse into the actress's private world and enduring passions. For Judi, the forest has always been more than trees. It's a living stage, a quiet place where memory grows. And when future generations walk those paths, they won't need to know her credits to understand her spirit. The earth will speak for her. As Judi turns more of her energy toward this living theater, she's writing a new kind of script, one that doesn't need cameras, applause, or lines to make an impact. The forest holds her memories, and in return, she's given it her voice, her care, and her time. The roots keep spreading, each season adding new chapters to a story without an ending. And while the spotlight may dim, the forest stays lit. It's the quiet encore of a life fully lived. Judi Dench doesn't believe in retirement. Instead, she's rewriting her ending, with trees, tech, and a message for us all. Legacy beyond sight. Mornings now start with fingertips gliding along raised stickers she has placed on every cupboard. Each marker tells Dame Judi exactly where tea leaves, plates, and kettle rest, without a single glance. A trusted assistant she affectionately calls her stage manager shadows these quiet rehearsals of daily life. He whispers spatial cues only when needed, letting independence stay center stage. Grace shows itself not in perfect vision, but in calm acceptance of fresh choreography. After breakfast, She traces the garden path by counting 12 stone slabs to the first rose. The scent guides her to the bench where scripts once rested, and now memory takes over. She recites verses under her breath, keeping vocal cords agile like a musician tuning strings. Later, she feels piano keys, letting muscle memory find chords that eyesight cannot. Every task becomes a gentle proof that talent can travel without sight. Ask her about retirement, and she offers a brisk laugh followed by the phrase, "life's interval." She argues that actors, like orchestras, only pause between movements, never truly finish the score. Sir Ian McKellen teases he will act past 100, and she counters that she will listen past 101. Their friendly rivalry fuels headlines, yet quietly reminds older artists to keep moving. Interval, not ending, frames her next act. That philosophy shapes a schedule still busier than many half her age. 2 afternoons each week, she coaches drama students through voice notes recorded on their phones. Evenings rotate between forest walks, AI feedback sessions, and short video messages for charity galas. She keeps engagements spaced to protect energy, yet varied to protect curiosity. By refusing to choose a final curtain, she turns time itself into repertoire. Her cultural scoreboard reads like condensed history. 1 Oscar, 10 BAFTAs, 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards, and a personal forest of remembrance. Add countless stage honors, an entry in the Oxford Dictionary of Quotations, and online memes that crown her queen of calm. More important are numbers outside show business. After her macular interviews, British eye health charities logged a 70% jump in donations over 3 months. Millions rallied because one woman admitted she could no longer see the autocue. In 2025 alone, the Macular Society credited her advocacy for raising an extra £4 million, enabling triple the usual research grants. A quiet detail seldom reported is her promise to match public giving pound for pound up to $1 million through her private trust. That pledge, met within weeks, accelerated trials using gene editing to halt retinal decay. Researchers now refer to their lab wing as the Dench Suite in informal emails. Legacy here measures in microscopes, not magazine covers. The next offering arrives this autumn. An audio play written for charity and voiced before scripts became smudges. She recorded every character, hero, villain, and narrator in a single weekend, relying only on memory prompts. Profits will flow directly to macular research and to scholarships for visually impaired performers. Producers plan a digital release so listeners worldwide can stream and donate in one click. Early testers say her performance feels both fragile and fierce, capturing precisely where she stands today. Beyond the play, developers are crafting an interactive children's storybook that pairs her AI voice with bold, tactile illustrations. Kids with low vision will follow raised drawings while Dame Judi describes colors they might never see. The project, still under wraps, aims to launch in schools by 2026, giving her mentorship a playful form. Teachers will access it free, thanks to royalties from the AI Macbeth announced earlier. It is mentorship scaled by technology, making imagination inclusive. She asked one message be shared with this community. If any of my roles ever moved you, carry them forward by telling your own stories aloud. The sentence lands like gentle command rather than farewell. It urges creativity over nostalgia and action over applause. In passing the torch, she insists it keep burning, not become a display. Listeners receive invitations, not eulogy. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click on the next video popping up on your screen for more amazing content.